Okay, everyone, welcome to part two of I have to check exactly how I'm labeling this artist lifestyle, embracing the high highs and the low lows. Anyways, so we talked about in part one, I'll link it here. Um, we talked about just the general aspect of the unknowns being kind of a guarantee of being an artist and working in the arts, especially the performing arts, and understanding the highs when they come and the patterns that might happen or could happen um, within certain months or years or days, and just accepting and embracing that. Now, I'm gonna start with talking a little bit about the low lows, and then we'll go into the whole topic again. So, when the lows happen, I could just talk about lows as far as you didn't get the job, you know, or the lows of you were underpaid for what you did, or someone didn't hold their end of the contract. Did you even get a contract? You weren't talked to respectfully by production, or I don't know. I mean, I'm not channeling this from anything specific. I'm trying to think of something not specific, but general, like, okay, you weren't, there wasn't respectful how you were talked to in the rehearsal room or something like that, you know. That even happened to me in college one time, where with a guest court like assistant who was staging a piece, and I won't say names. Okay, karma will come back. I don't know. But that person was very condescending to me, and I was just a college student. This person setting the work, and outside of that, I had a pretty positive experience with my faculty and professors in college, as far as no one was ever like belittling or condescending to me. Like, I had issues within the university, and there's some old lawsuits going out towards the university now. I just found out about, but it was from like decades before my time, from certain faculty who had been mistreating students. That's crazy. But I wasn't surprised at all when I read it. And you know why? It's because these are part of the things that come up in our field, but in other fields too. You know, workplace situations. That's why most jobs have an HR, right? An HR department. But unfortunately, very rarely have I ever worked in like a contractor job where there were kind of situations or departments like that to help you deal with things that weren't going well in the job. So that links to the low lows. I will say, being equity, like when there's the deputies, that is very helpful, of course, because that does feel like a safe space. Now, mind you, I know the people watching might have worked on more equity contracts that could speak to that more than me, but I'm grateful for it. So, anyways, so lows. So when these things happen, I think it's important to be aware of them, to one, not repeat your mistakes, not your mistakes, but maybe to not repeat falling into patterns of working in unhealthy or negative situations or hostile work environments. To even learn from yourself. Maybe you didn't approach the person the right way. Maybe you didn't address conflict. Maybe you didn't speak up. Maybe you let your ego get in the way in the room. I don't know the perfect example, because there is none. It's going to be different in everyone's cases. What's a low to you within the field? And I think part of that is, you know, a common one is people put all this money and all this time and all this effort into our profession, and we don't always get the payback that I feel is deserved, you know? We're often not getting the funding and support we need. We're often met with a lot of ignorance from people around us. And that can go when you know, like distant relatives, when you go back home, or immediate family, or, you know, meeting strangers at a networking event or at a party. You know, it's like, woo, there's so many things that unfortunately people not in the field are very ignorant of. And you know what? I'll say that goes both ways to some degree. Like, if I had to meet someone who works in a 9 to 5 job to do with tech, or a startup, or what's another field that I would know nothing about? Just a lot of fields, a lot of other areas. It's like, I wouldn't know much about it either. I might be ignorant. You can't know everything about everything, but I would try not to ask ignorant questions or make statements about someone's profession when I don't know what their profession is or what it's like. And I think that's the common misconception is, I think a lot of people feel that they can comment on our industry because they consume media and entertainment, but they don't work in it. They don't work behind the scenes in it. So they're just assuming what they know from what they see actors playing actors on TV, or, you know, like things like that. Dancers in Dancing with the Stars. So you think you can dance, World of Dance. It's like, there's only certain areas of the field and a certain community working in them and a certain way of making it. So I share that because I think that's a common low that artists face, is being met with ignorance or being underpaid for their time and their energy. I'm trying to think of other common lows. I'm going to just share little ones that happen for me. I think one low that is common for me is feeling like I'm extended in so many directions, and yet I'm not really getting the financial support that I need to sustain my living in New York City. Where I say that is that it's always come at the cost. It's come at the cost that I'm not someone who is able to go and live an extravagant lifestyle. When I say extravagant, I just mean, if you live in another state and you're in a certain profession, maybe by age, I'm 27, I'm almost 28, maybe by age 27, you have a pet, or some people even have like mortgages and homes, or like people I know of growing up with, like they have that because they're like married or they have children. But I don't want any of those things personally, that's why I'm here. But I just share, there's certain luxuries that people have, like paid sick leave, or vacation time, or paid, or like certain amount of vacation days, and they know, okay, I get to go on this time and I'm still going to have my steady income from this, and I can go away for this weekend to someone's wedding or on a trip, and just like little things. I can go see a show, I can go to have a nice dinner, and you know, I mean, luckily working in the arts, if you know enough people, you do get access to see you get comp tickets to see shows sometimes. So that's a nice perk. But you know, I don't nearly go to, like pre-pandemic times or now, I don't nearly go to enough like events or shows or like nice places in the city that I would love to experience living in one of the coolest cities in the world, just because of the reality of what I do. Unfortunately, I think the career path I've chosen kind of is, you kind of got to stick to it and dedicate yourself intensively to it if you want it to pay off, because the reality is you're not always going to kind of get the lucrative aspect of it. You know, we don't go into it for the money or the fame. You know, like if you're chasing the clout and the fame, then it's not going to sustain you. And I see a lot of successful famous actors talk about this, and I study a lot of successful famous people because I want to know the reality of the negative sides of what they have, and also the reality of what did it take them to get to a place of stability. Because one of my biggest goals as an artist, and it always has been since college, is to be a full-time performing artist who's like not completely set in my career. I know there'll be times that it's like a little but who's like, the hashtag booked and blessed person where I can go from job to job and pick my own projects. Because I think that's the real gift, is not that these people have millions of dollars. Their real gift is they get to a place, they can just do what they really love, which is going from saying yes to the project that is going to affect them deeply, that they think is going to be part of bigger change in the world. I mean, there's nothing's wrong with having prosperity and abundance. I'm all for it. But I think getting to a place where you're there and that's like, all right, you know what, some people took, like Andrew Garfield was saying in an interview I watched today, he took like a year off, I think after Spider-Man or something, and he didn't really pick up projects. And then the other year, another time, he did 2 films in the same year, back to back. And it's having that autonomy over your career. I think that's something that is the ultimate goal for a lot of working artists, is having autonomy over your career. And that starts small. And I think it has to start sooner than later, where you have to listen to your inner voice and say, no, this is what I'll work for. Sorry, you can't work for this rate. Sorry, I'm not doing it. And it is taking me a long time to start getting more comfortable with that, to get more comfortable asking questions. And I'm slowly but surely just doing that. And I even notice times in my life right now where I'm still scared to ask questions. And that's a journey. But I feel I do have more autonomy, and I get a little bit more of what I want now, because I've put in my time to get to a place where like now I'm getting old enough where it's like, okay. So I know I veered off far, but these are all important topics. So going back to the lows, I think that's a low for me, is sometimes the inconsistency or the sacrifice it comes with. Another low for me personally is not living near family and being away from family. And I'm missing, today's my grandmother's birthday, and I'm missing these things, Like, I do get to see my family a few times a year, but I don't often have the luxury to just go home when I want, neither does my family to come see me. And, I'm close with them, and it's been hard since I was 18 years old, since college, to really not be as present in the lives of family members, like seeing all my little cousins, second cousins, or like growing up or being born, not there. I don't like a random example is like in my circles, a lot of people are like me. We're waiting to get married and have children later in life. So it's like, I don't have weddings to go to hardly ever, or like things like that, bridal showers, bachelorettes. Like, I occasionally have, which is really cool, but it's just funny because it's like living a very different life than other people my age in other towns or other professions. And it's a choice, It's a choice I gladly make, and I make the sacrifice because I want to be a model of what dreaming big looks like and pursuing your talent looks like, and what being part of change looks like in culture and within the field, to carve the way for other generations to come. That's ultimately things I really want to do, and I want to show people it's possible, and that artists, we are just as valuable to society as athletes. I mean, we are athletes too, if you're a dancer, But that we're just as valuable as like these famous athletes who are making way more money than most of us. You know, it's kind of like what's popular. Yeah. Well, media and entertainment is popular, but I don't know how much art is. And I think it is to other artists, but I just wonder, you know, I know it's popular to some people, but just in mass pop culture, it's like there's certain things that sell that, yeah, we call people artists, you know. But anyways, that was my lows. I think is knowing the sacrifices that I'm making and knowing like, okay, I'm choosing a different lifestyle. I'm choosing to live in a loud, crowded, dirty place that has a lot of sometimes darkness here, like as far as there's a lot of sad things that happen here and a lot of unjust things, and you see a lot of suffering. And I think it's good to be attuned to that and aware of that. But sometimes those things affect me too. Just they affect my personhood, and that affects my artistry. So I share that all, specifically my lows, because I know there's other people who feel the same, and I know that it's important to be open about these topics, and that specificity doesn't hurt because it's sharing your own story. When you share your story, maybe someone else will too, and that can create impact and difference. So those are kind of some of my lows. But, you know, I kind of embrace it and try to make the most of it and stay optimistic, because it's a choice at the end of the day. I don't have to do this. I don't have to choose this. Life is still, I have the privilege, I am in the privileged group of people that I even got arts education, that I even get to live in New York City, that I even get to have a cell phone and Wi-Fi and upload this video on YouTube and have a computer. You know, it's like, I'm aware that these things come with privilege. Even my lowest moments, it's like they're not nearly as bad as people dealing with chronic illness and debilitating disease, you know. So I just share that because it's important to keep in mind and be aware, okay, these things can affect me, you know, and they can affect me deeply, but knowing like how not to dwell on it and how to come out of it, remembering the great things. And sometimes I think, especially as dealing with these ups and downs as an artist, it's like, I guess in a way you kind of live for the highs because you know how good it felt. Like for me, one of my greatest highs was at the American Dance Festival in 2013. I was finishing my freshman year of college, and I got into the Bill T. Jones piece for the 80th anniversary of ADF. So a few of the pieces got to perform at the Durham Performing Arts Center. And I got a callback for the Graham piece and Bill T. Jones, and not for the Twyla Tharp piece. There was like 3 of these main pieces that were going to be at DPAC, and the other pieces, which were amazing too, they were at like the smaller theater on the Duke campus. And because it was the 80th anniversary, it was like a big deal, I think, to me it was. There was a big audience, and I'm there in the backstage where, you know, all these famous people had signed their names on the bricks. I think I got to sign my name. But I was in a cast of 11 people, and I had just finished freshman year of college, not getting cast in things, thinking I'm like kind of not a great dancer, feeling like I'm at the bottom of the totem pole in my dance classes, and then go there with like 300 dancers from across the country and the world, and being like, nah, I got picked in this piece by one of my heroes that I had been studying, and there was a lot of connections, that's another story, but I had been really deeply connected to since high school. And that moment, just like the few seconds I had on stage by myself where I run up and hold a pose, it was like one of the most exciting moments, because that piece was 20 something minutes long. It was a huge physical challenge. My cast was so cool. We really bonded from day one. And Leah Cox, she was running it, restaging the piece Love Redefined, and it was just like no other dance experience I had in my life. It was so profound, and she was so invested in each of us, and we even I think got to meet with her one-on-one after the process, and it was, you know why that was such a high, and I know I'm going into a lot of details here. It was a high because I really felt seen, and I know that phrase is used so much, like if you watch The Bachelor, it's like, I need to feel seen, but someone was talking about this today too on something else I saw. It's just like we live in a culture and social media, it's like, here, what I'm doing now. It's like, you want people to see you for who you are, to embrace you and accept you, and then you can live your greatest dreams, right? And that's another video for another time about knowing your value and your worth. I'm gonna talk about that for sure. But yeah, I just wanted to share that because I think we live for the highs. I think the lows we experience as artists and the sacrifices we make are because the highs feel so good. There's nothing like, for me, like being in Tech Week in a theater and spending the whole day like in a theater process. And it's so funny because when I was in middle school and high school, that would be my favorite place. That was my happy place. And I would just have the best time and bond with everyone. And I wasn't a professional then, so I think I put a lot of pressure on myself, but I think I really enjoyed it, and it gave me such a high because I was just living a story and using my imagination and playing and being out there and like expressive. And it's so funny how I think the industry and the nature and the practical aspects can kind of wear you down and make you feel low. And then even when you're doing, sorry, my battery's low. Even when you're doing the thing, sometimes it doesn't feel as high, at least for me over time. Sometimes it doesn't feel as high if I'm in a situation that comes with some kind of shady things or lows. But I stay hopeful because I know the times where it has worked out and it's been amazing and it has been such a high, and it's like, yes. And I believe that even greater, more prosperous, like dream scenarios are gonna keep falling into my life as I'm actively pursuing them, because I think that's part of my path. I think you have to believe that you are destined for greatness when you go into this field and not be complacent and expect the bare minimum. If you're someone who's still here and you're still doing it, still sticking it out, trust me, you best believe something great is gonna happen. If you're a good person, a sincere, honest person with integrity, and you genuinely love this, it's gonna happen no matter what. If it's happening because you created the opportunity for yourself, even better, because that's most of the time how it happens, is not waiting around. That's another topic, another video, but I'm gonna wrap this video up here. I'm gonna make a whole other video. Some of the topics might relate, and thank you again for watching. Truly be blessed and know that great things are in store for you among all these high highs and low lows that you might be currently experiencing, or you might have experienced in the past, or that may be yet to come. Just continue riding the wave, and trust yourself in that. I'm gonna make a third video just in practical ways that you can keep yourself kind of stable and grounded among the roller coaster. Okay, bye.